the most feared Ibadan politician. You repeated it in the course of your storytelling.
Yes, yes.
And Bola Ige brought in that politician into his cabinet.
Before we got to cabinet, I didn't know Busari Adelakun. But Bola Ige and Busari Adelakun must have been friends. He was Busari Adelakun's lawyer at some points. So they must have known each other well before I knew them. And I knew Chief Awolowo was not in favor of Adelakun becoming a commissioner. And I knew of a fact that Awolowo advised Bola Ige to make Adelakun something like chairman, pilgrim board, or something like that, carrying people to Mecca. But Bola Ige felt, yes, he could be able to be in cabinet. I can't question his judgment. He has made him, a member of cabinet. But he became the most undoing of Bola Ige in cabinet.
How? How did he become the undoing, the most undoing?
He's rigid. He's not educated. And he wants to be, whatever anybody could be, no matter what your education.
He was that ambitious?
He must be ambitious.
And was desperate?
He was desperate. He was everything put together. I told you he wanted to be deputy to anybody.
To even Afolabi?
To Afolabi, to Mishade, to Bola Ige, to everybody. Anybody that can say, you will be my running mate, he was ready to support.
At what point did the government begin to unravel?
Bola must have known before me, but what I did know was that there was going to be creation of local governments. And there have been lots of arguments about where should be local government. And we say, okay, look, a principle must be adopted. A local government must not split a House of Assembly constituency. That you can put 2 constituencies within one local government. You can put 4 within one local government. But you can't split, a House of Assembly constituency between 2 local governments. When that became the matter, we say, Adelakun, go and apply it. So he brought a recommendation.
He was the commissioner of local government.
He was the commissioner for local government. And he brought a recommendation which we all approved. And local government was created. But a problem started in Ife Modaeke. Ife Modaeke was a 3-ward within the Onamiyan local government. And before we came, I think the military must have created something, and there have been some, mismatch. But the INEC created, they call it FEDECO then, created constituencies. And Modaeke was not a constituency of its own. Therefore, Modaeke could not have a local government of its own. Because of the principle. The principle is that a constituency should not be split between 2 local governments. That was the principle. But Modaeke wasn't a constituency of its own. It was part of a constituency. So it had to be a local government within that. So we made Modaeke part of several other constituencies, maybe 2 or 3 constituencies that makes up Ife Central or Ife something local government.
And Modaeke did not like that?
Where the underlying factor was historical and grave. Even if we considered it, we won't be able to have a principle to resolve it as at that time.
And that issue also reared its head again when you became governor.
It
of Osun State.
Not that it read again. It was never resolved then. It was never resolved for 20 years before I came back as a governor. So what I did, was to create an area council for Modaeke by making it 1/3 of Ife East, and say the allocation coming from Abuja for Ife East should be split into 3. 30% should be given to Modaeke Area Council.
Did it solve the problem?
Well, since then, no problem. Since then, that was the end of it.
But how did the violence at that time, how did it make you feel as governor of Osun State?
It was disturbing me a lot. I had to run to Obasanjo and beg him to come and intervene, to come and help me resolve it. The reason was that they are laughing for you. They are Ujale of Ijabode. Arisekola Lao of Ibadan. They were all behind Modakeke. And they were outside my own state. So I needed somebody who can help me to talk to them.
Why were they behind Modakeke?
I don't know. Because Modakeke is an Oyo town. So Alafin believed and he wrote it down.
Interesting.
Modakeke felt it's not Ife. Alafin felt Modakeke is Oyo. And Alafin felt that Ife was persecuting Oyo within its territory. And Alafin, had to employ the support of Awujale, of Arisekola and so on, to bail out Modakeke out of the problem. And it became, a terrible problem. Terrible.
It almost marred your administration.
No, nobody can pass through my state. Some people were killed on their journey through the state. Some strangers passing through the state. So everybody was avoiding my state. It couldn't allow us to govern. It couldn't allow business. It couldn't allow, It was a terrible situation.
But does that speak of the kind of politics we play? Because it reared its head during Bola Ahege's era.
Yeah, it started well before Bola Ahmed was born. The problem had been since about 1870, 1880.
And we could not solve it for many years.
It was not resolved until Bola Ahmed came. But what brought it out during Bola Ahmed was the creation of local government. And the military couldn't resolve it for 20 years before Bola Ahmed's time and my time.
But you resolved it?
Oh, yes, God helped me to resolve it.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Speaking there with a former governor of Osun State, Chief Bisi Akande. The scars of the past still shape the present. Ife still holds its position as the cradle of the Yoruba race, with the Oni as the spiritual father of all Yoruba people, including the Modakekes. Modakeke still stands proud as a town of warriors and builders, determined to carve its own destiny and that of all. Can a people truly share a land without war?